up, Cass? It's Braden, and I have a special guest. Forbes 30 under 30. You're from St. Louis. Who are you?
All right, man. It's a big hype in the beginning. Yeah, my name's Tyler Williams. I'm the CEO of ASI Food Safety, a food safety certification, training, and consulting company. We basically help companies improve their processes to ensure their products are safe for consumers around the world.
The only reason I introduced you like that was we've known each other for many years, and Tyler's dad, Mike, shout out to him. He's the reason I started Braden STL. He gave me that push. So I've known him for a long time, but man, shout out to my guy, 30 under 30. We'll obviously touch that, but let's talk about your St. Louis upbringing and how they got you into what you're doing today.
Yeah, absolutely. So started from humble beginnings, right out of Overland, my hometown. I still live there today.
Shout out to Overland.
I was in Missouri State where we met, and it was probably my senior year. I get a call from my mom, and she says, hey, I'm going to buy ASI, the company I work for, which for me, I was like, she's kidding. We're, at that time, we were probably middle class. But humble beginnings and lower middle class
in Overland.
Overland. Shout out to Rittner. Yeah. But she tells me, hey, I'm gonna buy ASI, and I'm like, no way. Like what? And yeah, so conversation kept going. It was serious. So she was able to secure a Small Business Association SBA loan, and was able to buy the company. So yeah, didn't pay for it, just cash straight up. Definitely had a big loan. But yeah, so she asked me if I wanted to come join the company outside of school. It had completely different plans for my life, but I said, okay, you know what? F it. Let's see how this plays out. And my first year at ASI, I started a very entry level position. I was just scheduling audits, things like that. And I fell in love with food safety. There's a lot that goes behind the scenes to make sure that our food supply is safe. And not just food supply, but products, consumer products around the world. And so for me, that was kind of exciting. And I liked that aspect of, hey, there's a lot going on behind the scenes. And I liked the technical and the science behind it. And so I decided to go get my master's. So I went to Michigan State University. I was actually online while I was working full time for ASI. And so I got my master's in food science. I got my certificate in international food law, and kind of the rest is history. I kind of moved up the ladder throughout ASI over the years, and throughout that time, I just fell more and more in love with food safety. I started a nonprofit called Show Me Food Safety, and so that was back in 2019 when we founded that. And basically, what Show Me Food Safety does is we provide free resources to local farmers, food manufacturers to improve their food safety. So it could be things like equipment, training, free consulting. All of it's completely free to them. Basically, they fill out an application. They have to meet certain requirements as a small business, and then they have access to those resources. And so that's one of the main things we do at Show Me. We also provide a scholarship to food science students who are, doing a lot of work behind the scenes, like I said, to help improve our food supply chain. And then we also award leaders in the industry with our leadership award. And so that just highlights people that are doing great things in the industry, because a lot of folks that are doing the work behind the scenes, they don't never get that recognition. And a lot of people don't know who they are. And I think that's what made the Forbes 30 under 30 really exciting for me, was because it was the first time anyone in food safety has won that award. And so that was pretty cool, because again, it was kind of recognizing all the things that go behind the scenes, and how important food safety is to our food supply chain.
Well, that was cool, because it's Keith Lee's name, which everyone knows for his viral videos, and that community, that kind of tribe that he's built, that if he highlights this mom and pop, and then hundreds are lining up, you know, and it's then there's your name right there. And I was like, no, Tyler Williams, I had to double, triple check. Obviously you deserve it, but it's just super cool. Without people like you and, ensuring the safety of the food, someone like Keith Lee would have food poisoning every time he goes places.
Exactly.
So how did you become obsessed with food safety? Like why? What was it?
Honestly, for me, it's a lot of the science behind it. And I'm just kind of always been a science guy, and I like the technical side of things. So, and what I mean by that is, excuse me, is, knowing what sources bacteria can come from, what's the implication, what's the growth behind it, doing risk analysis, all these super nerdy things that are kind of complex. That's why I fell in love with it. And again, it's fun when I tell people what I do and what my company does, even though I'm not on the technical sciencey part of the business anymore. It's cool because people don't realize, when you go to Deerbergs or Schnucks, you're not going, is this safe? No, you assume a grocery store is selling it, it's safe, right? You're not thinking about all of the work that goes behind the scenes. And so for that for me was the biggest thing and kind of why I fell in love with it.
Yeah, it's like one of those things we just don't think about. Yeah. We just expect it.
You expect it, exactly. And you should, as a consumer, right? Mm-hmm. If you go into a store, whatever that store is selling should be safe. It doesn't matter if it's food, cosmetics, whatever. It needs to be safe for consumers to use.
Now, you mentioned your nonprofit, Show Me Food Safety. Mm-hmm. How many scholarships have you guys given out?
Given out 3 scholarships, and since 2019, and a part of that was because we missed a couple of years because of COVID. So we weren't able to raise money and things like that. So we just awarded a scholarship back in May for the 24-25 school year, or excuse me, 23-24 school year. And then upcoming this May, we will award another one for this upcoming school year.
Amazing. And it's funny because like I helped you guys out, I think in 2021, and just learning. That's where I first like actually learned about the food safety, because I'm over here just eating all the food, and I'm over here like just thinking about calories and stuff and cholesterol, and you're over here thinking bacteria.
Yep.
And so one of the other things you were able to do was really like dive into the cannabis side and really ensure that like, those was it like the edibles and all that was safe? And so can you explain that to us?
Yeah, absolutely. So around the same time, so 2019, 2020, actually, let me back up. So 2018, we started getting requests. And when I say we, ASI, started getting requests.
And ASI is a St. Louis company.
It is a St. Louis-based company, yeah. But we audit and certify companies mainly in North America, but around the world.
And cannabis was not legalized in Missouri at that time.
No, it wasn't.
Okay, I'm just trying to emphasize those things.
No, cannabis was not legalized in Missouri. And actually, so in 2018, a couple of Florida processors under the medical licenses reached out to us, and they were wanting food safety audits. We're like, okay, well, this and cannabis was always an industry, I was passionate about and kind of just always watching. But at the time, I wasn't in a position where I could convince senior leaders in the company to really push for it. And so this really kind of prompted everything. And so we had these companies reach out to us, and they were reaching out to us because there was a requirement written by the Florida government saying that these companies had to be certified to what's called GFSI, which is the Global Food Safety Initiative. Basically, GFSI benchmarks a bunch of different food safety standards, and it's considered like the best in class food safety certification you can get for a company. And the problem with that was all of these standard owners were not allowing cannabis companies to get certified. So we had a law in Florida saying they had to be certified to a standard, and none of the standards would allow these companies to certify them. So I worked with the state, developed CSQ, worked with many stakeholders, and CSQ stands for Cannabis Safety and Quality. And we developed a safety and quality standard for the cannabis industry, and it's not just for edibles; it's for oils. So we do the extraction process, we do the edible process, we do the growing and cultivation process. We have a standard for what we call dietary supplements because a lot of CBD products fall under that category. We're developing standards for packaging. We also have a retail standard, which was prompted by the Missouri market. I'll talk about that here in a second. But yeah, so that's really what prompted everything. And so we became the first accredited certification program for cannabis safety and quality in the industry. And yeah, we've really grown since then. So that side of the business, it's not a majority of what ASI does, but it's growing every day, and it's fun because it's this new, fun, exciting, ever changing landscape. It's a product that I'm passionate about personally. It's a product that I think does help people medically, and so it's even more important, in my opinion, to keep those products safe than food products, because people are using them for medical reasons. So a lot of those people are what we call immunocompromised, which means they're way more sensitive to things that, if you get a foodborne illness, you might be sick for a day or two, where someone who's immunocompromised, they could be in the hospital, right? So those are the type of people consuming those products, and we want to make sure that they're safe. And so that's what really spawned CSQ, and it's grown over the years. And now we have 9 of the top 10 largest cannabis companies certified to CSQ. So it's pretty cool, and it's good to see these companies adopt these practices, because it is important. And I can't explain that enough, how important it is to keep consumers safe, because one recall or one person that you have die, not only do you have the emotional reasons to not do that and the ethical reasons to not do that, but also your brand is just ruined.
And it's the whole industry too, because people are just waiting. Think about how many people, RIP, may have died from like E. coli poisoning yesterday from something, but then they're just waiting for cannabis. Exactly.
And that's one thing that we preach when we go to conferences and we do educational events and things like that. We're saying, basically the industry is self-regulating itself right now. I mean, obviously the different states who have legalized, they have requirements. Those are bare minimum requirements. And a lot of times product safety is overlooked, or they're basically saying, hey, we want you to, for edibles, for example, we want you to follow FDA regulations. Well, cool. Who's going to verify that they're following those FDA regulations? Yeah. FDA is not going to do it, right? So we have a lot of these, states who have very kind of what I'll call lax regulations. And so it is a lot of self-regulating right now. And it's self-regulating for 2 reasons. The one you just mentioned, which is making sure that the cannabis industry doesn't crumble or become overburdened with regulations. Because what could happen is, let's say somebody, there's a mass recall and a lot of people get sick or die. The FDA can then step in and say, or the DEA can step in and say, okay, we have a reason to not make this product legal anymore, or we have a reason to say it is only going to be for pharmaceutical. And then all of these mom and pop dispensaries, all these mom and pop cultivators and processors, they go away because they can't afford to take their company or their products through the same process that pharmaceutical companies do. There's a huge barrier to entering the market, and so it's just not feasible, right? And so those are some of the things that we're trying to stop from happening.
Have you spoken in front of Congress yet? I feel like that's like inevitable, man.
No, I have spoken in front of many regulators. I talked to a lot of regulators. I've helped regulators write their regulations for their states in safety and quality, mainly New York and Florida. I've helped those states out. But it's regulators are interesting because, and I totally get it, because, I'm coming in with a pitch, if you will, even though it's a pitch that benefits everyone. It's still, they can't see past that for-profit side of the business that we do. And so it often comes off that, hey, we're selling a product, and that's not what we're doing. We're selling safety and quality. Mm-hmm. I'm not going out and saying you have to use the CSQ standard, but I am saying we should make regulations align with CSQ standards. And so that's the difference there. But yeah, it's always interesting talking to regulators.
So I've seen you speak at different conferences around the country. Like, whenever you're speaking in front of people, like, does it depend on I guess it's kind of a goofy question. Like, are you talking about cannabis, or are you talking about food safety, or do you just talk about whatever the conference? Because you do so much.
No, it definitely depends on the audience. So I'm speaking next week at an SQF conference, which is a food safety conference, but I was actually on the SQF board or advisory board for cannabis, because they were looking at bringing cannabis into the standard and what that means. They do allow cannabis products in Canada to be certified to their standard because it's federally legal. They don't allow it in the States. So just as an example, at this conference next week, my entire talk is about food safety. But one of the examples I'm bringing is from the cannabis industry, just because it's so relatable and it's a good example. So it does sometimes cross over, but a lot of times it's very specific to what conference, what audience, I'm speaking to.
Gotcha. I feel that. Sometimes I'm talking to like a corporate entity, and then you're like, you should see me. I'm like dressed up like you, but with a tie on right now. But then the other times I'm talking to like creators, and I'm like more laid back.
Yeah.
Now, what is a typical week like for you, or is that a such thing?
There's no typical week. As a CEO, you're basically a fireman. You're putting out fires every day. Sometimes, some weeks there's a lot of fires. Some weeks there's no fires. So it just depends. I think that's one of the many things that I like about my job is that no day is the same. It is filled with a lot of meetings, which everyone in my office knows I hate meetings, but it's a necessary evil, if you will.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of what I do is just coordinating and steering the direction of the company, working with different departments and making sure everyone's, I hate to say doing what they're supposed to be doing, but in a way, making sure that they're doing what's aligning with our goals and mission within the company. And for the most part, my employees make it super simple. So it's not like I'm berating them or anything like that. It's more so just there as support. Hey, what barrier do you have this week? What can I get out of your way to help get this project moving forward? So it's more like that than, bashing employees for not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
It's like you're making sure you guys are moving forward, not
exactly.
staying stagnant.
Exactly.
Because just in business, you can't, or life, you can't just stay complacent. Now, what are some of the big things you're working on at the moment, whether that's, professionally or even personally? I know you're a big soccer guy, so we can.
Other than going to every city home game that I can.
And the best seats go.
The best seats. They're really good seats. I'm not going to lie. Really it's just growing ASI, expanding our services. So we went through a merger at the end of 22 with a company called Kiwa. And so Kiwa's, they do what we do, but in a lot more industries. And so we're really just in food, cannabis, dietary supplements, a little bit in consumer goods, not much. And so now it's expanding not only the scope what we do in those industries, but also expanding into new industries. So right now, a big project I'm working on is getting into the cosmetic space. So again, the same thing that we're doing in food and cannabis, making sure that those products are safe for consumers. We're doing the exact same thing with cosmetic products. The goal will be to get into medical devices and pharmaceuticals down the road. We're just not there yet. And then, it's expanding. Oh, another thing we're expanding into is sustainability. So things like Rainforest Alliance, RSPO, which is sustainable palm oil, organic, things like that, we're starting to do. So that's a lot of what I've been working on is just really growing the business. And we're probably doing too many things at once, would be what my team says. But I think we're on track to really explode in growth over the next couple of years.
You know what you can do.
Exactly.
Like you're like, we can do this. Like we can actually help. I think that's what's amazing about what you do, because you're not like just selling fluff.
No.
Like, hey, would you like to buy this upgrade for? And it's like, no, like literally, like you're providing a service that's for the overall betterment. And like, talking about cosmetics, I mean, geez, like all these celebrities are coming out with, I don't know, there may be Braden cosmetics out here soon, man. I don't know what the heck I need a better skincare routine or something.
Yeah, can you help me with these forehead wrinkles I got going on?
Well, for the low price of $899 a month, you get Braden. I don't even know what the heck they're called.
Yeah. They're certified by ASI, so they're good.
Yeah. Now, on a personal level, man, it was really cool. Whenever I heard we're actually getting a soccer team, like you're the first person I thought of, because I know how much you love it. I mean, you wake up at weird times just for the game that you love. The biggest Ronaldo fan I know, and so what was that like, man? Growing up in St. Louis, like you probably never saw the day.
No, I know. It's funny because, I played soccer my whole life, basically, in some way, shape, or form. I didn't play college, or I was never that good. But
you played at college,
I
right?
played at college.
I played at Missouri State. Not for.
Yeah, exactly. But, it's I never watched the MLS. And the big reason for that was because we didn't have a team here in St. Louis, and I never understood that because we're such a big soccer city.
As it shows now.
Yeah, as it shows now. It's, so like you said, I always got up early on the weekends to watch the Premier League or La Liga in Spain, the Champions League and things like that. So for me, it was really amazing when they announced we had a team, and it was like one of those things where you were hoping for it for so long, and there's been so many opportunities that were fluffed and it just never happened.
Yeah, because I remember like the city, like we had an opportunity to vote for it, and then it got voted down, and then we got the team, the world shut down, so then you're like, oh dude, this ain't happening.
Yeah, I was hoping we didn't see like another Battlehawks incident where we get all hyped up and then the world shuts down.
Yeah,
we don't have a team anymore. Luckily it came back. No, man, it was really cool once they announced it. I mean, as soon as they allowed me to put my name on the wait list for season tickets, I did.
Yeah.
So now I have them and I'm locked in for 8 years. So I'm stuck here in St. Louis for 8 years and I wouldn't have it any other way.
It's kind of, dude, it's really cool because like, you're doing big things, you're CEO, that brings a lot of stress. It takes up a lot of time, but then you're like, now you actually get to go do something you love.
Yeah.
Like go see this in person.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we got a soccer team, like, and I've been to some St. Louis City games in the park in Fenton, which it's nowhere near the level of MLS. Yet alone what they're doing over in Europe. Is that still there? I don't think it is.
Okay.
I'm not sure because I think that whole place was like a flood zone. So,
hey, this season's never been.
But now we have City too, so I think that's what. There's no real reason to have a USL team, but before we got a team, the only games I was able to go to Spain twice for work and see Real Madrid, which is one of my favorite teams, Ronaldo, right? And so that was really cool. I got to see a couple games where. Chelsea, my favorite team in England, they played here in St. Louis against Man City. Real did come here one time. They played Inter Milan. So I did get to see a couple professional games, but it was few and far between. And so like now I get to every weekend essentially, and it's so much fun. It's so cool.
Dude, is that the pitch club that you're in? Is that what that is down there?
I should know. I think that's what it's called. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that thing is like I sit in the green seat, or I get to sit in the green seats a few times a season at Busch Stadium, and it's like the way I describe it, like that lounge is like almost like a nightclub. Not a nightclub, like a St. Louis nightclub. It's a St. Louis nightclub.
It's more like a
lounge,
nice lounge. There we go. With free food and drinks.
That could easily you get the DJ going, the right DJ to play the music, the right lights. You can make that a nightclub.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was awesome. Like when they came, and they have a lot of good food there. Now let's go back to kind of like just you overall. Now the future. What does the future hold for you that you can share?
Yeah, who knows? Right now it's just, trying to grow ASI and get into all these different new markets for us. We'll kind of see what happens after that. I think I've always told myself at some point I would like to do consulting. I don't know when that is. I used to do some on the side throughout my life at ASI when I was going out and actually doing audits. And so consulting is something I'm just super passionate about, and that's why it's a big focus in what we do with the nonprofit Show Me Food Safety. Just something about helping companies improve their processes. And I mean, I'll give you an example of a rice farmer we did through the Show Me. Went down there in the Boot Hill, Missouri, helped them with their process. Their farm is in the middle of nowhere. So finding a quality assurance person in that area there is none.
It's not existent.
And so you're getting someone that's driving like an hour away from Memphis, and which no one wants to do that either. So it's so hard for them to keep someone there that can help them and make sure that they're doing the right things. They want to be doing the right things. They just don't have the personnel. So just a good example of, I went down there for a day, helped them with a bunch of stuff. And it's, for me, it's super easy. I at the time I was doing that kind of work every day. And, the appreciation you get from the family, and they, invited me over to the house for a good home cooked, Southern meal. So like that kind of stuff is why I love consulting and really helping the kind of smaller mom and pop operations out. So I think I'll eventually end my career there, but who knows?
Your impact is more than, it's interesting that, you're talking about that like small family farm, which is still probably hundreds of acres or something, right? But it's like, with you going down, making sure they're set, their food is safe, that is like directly contributing to the state of Missouri, the GDP, like the amount of money that's flowing, and then hundreds of local businesses, and it's like, without you and your company, that's non-existent. It's unfortunate because like I've been able to travel a lot with my corporate job in a lot of small towns, and you see what happens when that one anchor is gone.
Yep.
And then you have all these abandoned buildings caught on fire. You're keeping that alive. So
that's a good way to look at it. I've never thought of it like that, but maybe we'll put that on the website.
Yeah. Hey,
I just got free marketing advice from Braden. I'll take it.
A lot of people get that free. Bam. Dude, yeah, I can make you a whole commercial for that. All right. Now, before I let you go, Foodie Friday, what are some of your favorite places to eat?
Okay. Got to give a shout out to my favorite Thai place, Pearl Cafe, Cugino's, my favorite. I'll say this is my favorite microbrewery in St. Louis, but they have really good food too. And then Max Local Eats. Got a good damn hamburger, man.
Can't go wrong there.
Yeah.
What are you ordering at the first two spots?
What am I ordering? Pearl Cafe. So I always get the Thai chili stir fry chicken. It's delicious. Cugino's. I get the Cheval burger. It's basically this burger. It's got an egg on it and a bunch of other stuff. It's delicious.
All right. So now if you can have 3 people, dead or alive, join you. It could be family, friends, celebrities, athletes. So you can have Ronaldo join you. I know you're an Anthony Bourdain guy.
I think I would like, Anthony Bourdain, Dave Chappelle, and James Franco.
Ooh.
And we were going to make a TV show out of it, just traveling the world eating food. And Brad, you can come along too.
Heck yeah, man. Now, words of wisdom, let's say there's someone that aspires to do what you're doing, or someone could be going through a tough time in life. If you had any bit of words of wisdom, what would they be?
Yeah, I think this is always a good question. And for me, I know personally, growing up, you've seen successful people, you've seen rich people, and you thought to yourself, oh, man, they're lucky. They were at the right place at the right time, or maybe they were born into it, or they have better opportunities than I had, right? And it's something I slowly learned as I grew and as I grew in my career, that there's a way for the little guys to get a lot of opportunities too. You just have to put yourself out there, right? I mean, you're a perfect example of it, Braden. And what I mean by that is, you're not going to have opportunities come to you sitting at home playing video games. Right. It's as much as I love to play video games, it's not going to happen, right? How you get access to those opportunities is by going out, meeting people, networking, going to conferences, putting yourself in situations where other people may feel uncomfortable, and it's expanding your network of people, expanding your horizon, expanding your knowledge. I think that is something that is super underrated. And, you can have one opportunity come that's really good and it can pass by, right? And that sucks. But if you're putting yourself out there and you have hundreds of opportunities coming, all it takes is one or two to stick. And so I think that's a big thing and a big misconception a lot of people have, including myself growing up, was, that, people are lucky. And of course people have, people are born into better opportunities than others. There's no denying that, but it doesn't mean you can't go out there and find your own opportunities. So I think that's my biggest words of wisdom, if you will.
No, I think that's great, especially in this day and age. I always tell people anything and everything is possible.
Yeah.
You can make it happen some way, shape, or form. You may be thinking you're going to work with this one particular company on a project or whatever. They say no. That's not the end of your life or day. Like, all right, well, who's the next one? Who's your next interest? It's always fun every time I see you and Mike. Like, shout out to you guys. Like, I think you guys may have been the only like college friends or childhood friends. Well, Mike's not child, but people that like, whenever I threw out the first pitch, you guys were there we were kicking at, I mean, it was like 110 degrees, but you guys were there, and it's always fun to see you guys. And, you know, even Mike, he's like, Braden, I always knew you had it in you. I was like, dang, Mike, like, you know, I didn't see it in myself because we were watching a Battlehawks game. I remember we were at Bar Louie, probably one of the last few times I went to St. Charles. No, I'm just kidding. I go maybe once a month. But yeah, like we were there, and he was telling me, you know, he said, you know, Braden, Sheree and I are going to these places that you're posting on your story, but then it's gone after 24 hours. Like, you should create a blog. And I'm like, man, I'm not a writer. You know, I'm like, I don't care for that. Like, because I've always been a visual guy, right?
Yeah.
A video. And I read and stuff, but that's more on the professional end. And, you know, he really pushed me. So now every time I see him, it's like, yeah, no, I knew you had it. You know, what are you working on now? Like, I can't wait to, like, you know, tell him some of the guests that may come on. And this will be a good interview for him to listen to. But man, I'm proud of you. I appreciate you, appreciate your family. And man, I'm just proud to see what you've done. And 30 under 30, bro. Well, Tyler, I appreciate your time, bro.